Welcome to the Satellite and Webcasting Center at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm Connie Schmidt, your program producer. Pat Jackson is our director. I'd like to welcome our satellite viewers, our cable television viewers, and our webcasting viewers. We invite all our participants to call in with questions today on our toll-free telephone line at 1-866-904-8352. We're delighted to have with us today Dr. Judith Iriarte Gross, who is a professor of chemistry and director of the Wisdom Center here at MTSU. She organized today's panel discussion, and she's going to sit back and enjoy it with the rest of the audience. We're also joined by our panel moderator, Dr. Kathy Mathis, who's an associate professor in the Department of Engineering Technology at MTSU. She's joined by Ms. Wendy Cleave, who is an engineer with General Mills, Dr. Heather Brown, an associate professor in the Concrete Industry Management program here at MTSU, Ms. Jennifer Hill, an engineer at Nissan North America, and Ms. Denise Robertson, who is a senior mechanical engineer at Schneider Electric. We're also joined in the studio by Ms. Shara Webster and her students from Oakland Middle School right here in Rutherford County. Today's presentation is Wise Women Engineer the Future. I'm going to turn it over now to our moderator, Dr. Kathy Mathis.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity. And we welcome the girls from Oakland Middle and our panelists. And I'd like to talk to you for a minute about some of the opportunities that we have on campus here. We are the Women in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Wisdom. And with that, we want to encourage young women to be a part of those underrepresented areas. If you look at medicine or a lot of the other sciences, women make up about 50% in other professional areas. But in engineering, we only make up, well, less than 20%, which is about the same that it was when I was graduating in the 70s. So we're not making a lot of progress, and we need you to help us with that. Our Wisdom Center then is joined with GRITS, Girls Raised in Tennessee Science, another one of our projects and organizations that we have on campus, and we need you girls to be a part of that. And then we have Expanding Your Horizons. You may have heard of that. Our EYH is for girls in the area to come on campus and to be shown some of the opportunities that we have here on campus. And then we have with Judith's group, the American Chemical Society's high school student programs. And we would like then for you to participate in all of those things. We have the Women in Science and Engineering and our AWISE on campus. All of these have websites, so you can look us up on the mtsu.edu website. And we're so excited to have you with us today. And we'd like for you to participate and to help me ask questions for our panelists. And so I'm asking each of them to introduce yourselves, tell us where you work, where you were educated, and now where you live. So we'll start with Denise on that corner.
Okay. Hi, I work for Schneider Electric at their Smyrna facility, and I've been there for 20 years. I live in the Murfreesboro area, and I graduated from the University of Alabama, Huntsville with a mechanical engineering degree.
My name is Dr. Heather Brown, and I've been at MTSU as an instructor for 10 years, actually. My previous work experience was with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, so all the orange trucks you see on the side of the highway, I used to work for them, and I live in Las Casas, so for those of you that are from Murfreesboro, I live right outside of Murfreesboro, and I went to school at Tennessee Tech University in Cookeville, Tennessee for civil engineering.
Jennifer?
Good morning, ladies. I'm Jennifer Hill. I work for Nissan North America, home of the Nissan Leaf, new electric vehicle. I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I currently live in Nashville, and I have a degree in mechanical engineering from Tennessee State University.
Wendy.
Hi, I am Wendy Cleave. I work at General Mills here in town, so all of the Yoplait that you buy in the store, I help make that every day. I went to school at Iowa State. I'm originally from Iowa, grew up on a really small farm in northeast Iowa, and now have made my way down here and live right here in Murfreesboro.
So we're excited to have them all with us, and with a varied backgrounds and interests. We want to ask you a little more about that. We'll start with Wendy. Now, we've already asked you what your major was, but what degrees do you hold, and why did you choose that particular area of study?
So my degree is in industrial engineering. I actually just graduated last May. The reason I chose industrial engineering, I had gone to a couple conferences through 4-H, and they had career sessions. One of those was how to run your own chocolate factory, and it was a computer simulated program, which is similar to Lemonade Stand. So loving chocolate and loving the process, I got into it and looked into it a bit more and decided that industrial engineering was for me.
Jennifer, same question?
I have to be honest with you guys. I love to answer this question because it gives me a chance to talk about my father, who I love so much. My dad has an associate's degree in electrical engineering. So at a young age, like, he used to work on everything, even if it didn't need to be worked on, okay? and I was with him, I was just right along like, Dad, what is this? What is this? What can we do? How can we modify this? And I just knew at a young age that I wanted to go into engineering. Now, I didn't follow his path in electrical engineering, but I got into mechanical engineering and I love it.
So growing up for me, I actually grew up on Army bases, and for whatever reason, everywhere we moved, I was surrounded by boys. And so I grew up wanting to be on a dirt bike versus I didn't own a Barbie my whole life. So I was kind of a tomboy, I was a late bloomer, but I liked making forts, snow forts, and building. I knew that from a very young age, putting things together all the way down to Legos and Lincoln Logs. That was my toy of choice. So early on, I knew the building spirit was in me, and then math and science just fell into place pretty early as well. So civil engineering is a great marriage of building and math and science.
Growing up, my dad owned a cabinet shop, and I liked to work in it with him. We built a lot of things together, and he taught me how to use the tools. When I was in high school, I wasn't real fond of English like I should have been. My favorite subjects were math and science. I really did enjoy it, so it just seemed natural. But I like to make things that I go into engineering.
So you can see the reasons that you should choose engineering. And I had a similar situation, and I loved bridges. So I wanted the idea of, I looked to see what I could do so I could build bridges. Of course, I went into environmental engineering, so I haven't built many bridges, but I still like them. So it's kind of a process. What do you like to do? So those are the things that we want to find out. And Wendy, we want you to expand on what you like best about your job.
What I like best, the product. Eating yogurt every day. You know, we've got 6 production lines, well, 5 with 6 in the works. And you can go out and just grab yogurt off the line because they encourage you to take samples and test to make sure that our product is good. But also, it's challenging, and you never know what you're going to come into every day. I mean, there could be one day where there's a line that's crushing cups, and so they're smashing them together and it's squirting yogurt everywhere. And you've got to go out there and try and figure out what's wrong with the machine, what's happening, and so you just never know, and it's always a challenge. That's what I like the most.
Jennifer?
I agree. I mean, I love knowing that I can come into my job and I do not know what to expect. I will never get bored at work, I guess. I can be working with design on new changes, or I can be trialing new parts, or like Wendy said, there could be a major issue on the line and I have to figure out what's going on. I have to get in and root cause and find out, what can we do to make sure production is going the way it should go. So I just love going to work knowing that I don't know what to expect, okay? I'm not gonna ever get bored.
I think the one thing about all the engineering disciplines that are out there that I get to experience on a day-to-day level is the pride of work. We build things, whether it's a building or a car or a cup of yogurt, we're all building something. And to be able to show that to your family and your friends and be proud of what you do every day, it's got a lot of satisfaction, and I take home a great amount of job satisfaction every day.
I work in new product development for the company I work for, and I like coming up with new ideas and to satisfy our customers. I like testing our models to make sure they conform to safety specifications so that we put out a good product.
And with that, Denise, do you get to try new things? Are you in the research and development kind of an area?
I am.
And so do you come up with the ideas, or are you implementing what other people?
No, it's teamwork. We all do.
Very good. And on that line, since that's what you like best, what do you like least about your job?
What do I like least? After all the testing and the fun stuff's done, we have to make records to sell the product. We have to make drawings and bills of material and teach the assembly plants how to build the product correctly so we can mass produce it. And that takes a lot of time and checking and double checking. So I'm ready to go off and start something new.
That's fun. Heather?
I think the longer you're in a position, the more responsibility that you have and the more meetings you have. So I would say the least thing I like about my job is all the meetings I have to attend. I seem to meet about other meetings quite often. So that's probably my least favorite.
I can agree with that. But right now, give us a little plug about the concrete industry management.
Well, my background's in civil engineering, and you've heard me talk about construction and building. There is a huge movement in the country to build more structures that last longer, so that you're not building things that over time deteriorate and break down and you have to rebuild. It's better to build something that lasts 100 years versus 20 years. So with that, the building material of choice, and I'm biased, but the building material of choice is concrete. It's safer, stronger, lasts longer, and cheaper in the long run. So they formed a program here at MTSU. We're the first in the country to focus on concrete construction. And we look at it from a lot of different aspects. I look at it from the environmental side. I look at it from the cost and economic side. I also look at it from the sustainability side for looking at different products that might be used within concrete so that we can start using recycled products as well.
Jennifer, what do you like least about your job?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. No, actually, I agree with meetings. I don't like being in meetings. I'm a hands-on person.
Right.
So I like to be on the line. I like to be working. I like to be solving problems. And another thing, it's something that I love to do, but also I hate being away from my family sometimes or from my friends. For instance, in March, I'm going to leave for about 5 weeks and I'll be in Japan. Now, the good thing is I'll be in Japan for 5 weeks and I get a chance to travel. But, just being away from home, sometimes you get a little lonely or whatever. But when I come back home and I see the cars on the road and I see what I've actually worked on, I'm like, this is great. The quality of life is better because I did something. I contributed to something. So that's some of the things that I like and dislike altogether.
Wendy?
So the thing that I dislike also ties back to the thing that I like the best. What I dislike is getting big splotches of yogurt on my pants. So, when the machine is crushing cups, there is yogurt squirting everywhere. And until we get that fixed, you've got to be right in that line of fire so you can help figure out what's going on. But if you want to go shopping after work and you've got a big splatter of yogurt on you, you're less likely to want to do that when you get off work. So I would say that's something that I don't like about my job.
But that saves you money.
Exactly.
It
It
keeps
saves
you
you
from
money. I
shopping.
don't go shopping.
That's true. Okay, Wendy, we'll go back with you. Given the opportunity to change your course of study, what other engineering area prominent now would you choose?
I think knowing what I'm working on now, I probably would have gone with mechanical engineering. I find myself having to reteach myself or initially teach myself things about the pieces of equipment, different drive systems, servo motors, different cylinders and how they work. Those are things that I'm having to learn on my own, which is great because I'm always learning something new. But having that background in mechanical engineering, I think would have helped me a lot.
So you're an industrial engineer.
Right.
Now, what exactly, if we were writing the job description, what does an industrial engineer do?
An industrial engineer will make the process more efficient. So you've got your entire process set up. They'll look at ways that they can save the company money, balance the line better to make it run more efficiently. Say, maybe we don't need this many people to run the line. Maybe we only need 2 instead of 3. If we have them, work in this specific way, we'll set up a work path basically for them that's more efficient. So mechanical engineers build it, industrial engineers make it more efficient.
Very good. Jennifer, same question. What would you do differently? Is there another course of study? Would you have done electrical?
Yes, of course. For my father, I would have done electrical, and also because I really want to stay in the automotive industry. I enjoy being in the automotive industry, but I would like to be in environmental engineering because right now it's time to go green. It's time to take care of Mother Earth right now. We need to start, and along with the green initiative that Nissan is promoting, I want to promote it for myself as well, and I would love to know more about it. I would love to just get involved and just know, and I think environmental engineering is a great step in the right direction to just making sure our quality of life is better. So that's probably one of the 2 things, electrical or environmental engineering.
Thanks for the plug. I agree with you on that one. Heather, what would you do?
I found that being a civil engineer, I didn't think I would branch to other engineering as much, but I find myself deep in chemistry more than I ever would have expected. And I wish I did better in chemistry 1 and 2 in college, or had Dr. Gross in college, because now I'm having to almost reteach myself a little bit on the chemistry side. So chemical engineering might have been a good marriage of civil and the chemistry that I needed to know. Concrete is basically a cement process, or a chemistry process. When cement meets water, a chemical reaction, several of them actually take off. And there's so many things that the environment adds to that. There's another chemical reaction with all the rain that comes and the salt water that hits concrete. And again, it's just a chemistry process gone crazy. So I wish I had known more about it and would have liked to have pursued maybe more of a chemistry side of my career.
So you could do a second PhD in
Why
chemistry.
not?
Yeah. Denise, what about you?
When I was in college, I had a lot of electrical courses, even though I was majoring in mechanical engineering, and I really enjoyed those. So I was kind of torn while I was in school which career path to take even. And the college that I was attending, you could only take one. So I chose mechanical. But I've been really fortunate because working for Schneider Electric, I get to do both. So I've learned a lot after I joined my workforce.
So can we agree that engineering and the disciplines are not silos, that there's a lot of crossover and a lot of opportunities for interaction and learning a lot of things?
Well, I think part of engineering is they're teaching you that mindset of how to troubleshoot and how to look for problems and go in and try and fix those problems. So once you have that sort of basic engineering mindset, it's kind of easier for you to go in and pick up the chemistry you need or the mechanical engineering that you need because you've got that problem-solving mindset.
That's absolutely true. And along that lines, and we'll start with you, Heather, what would you like to invent?
Well, we have a lot of, being at a university, a lot of people come to the industry or come to the program actually and ask to invent things, and a lot of times people just want to invent something that's either cleaner for the environment or safer for the workers. I really enjoy working with products that keep accidents on the job down. So I've been a part of sort of some mini inventions throughout my career where we're taking a material and that material will do a new performance that will allow a worker to be safer. So I don't have any new ideas, but I have been a part of some material construction development programs that have allowed workers to be safer, and I think that's
Is there something in particular you'd
there
like
is.
to have?
I helped sort of invent, when I was in college actually, I had a professor that looked at how we constructed underground pipe, and all of you get water from underground pipe, and then you also, everything that leaves your house goes into underground pipe. Well, there's a lot of accidents that happen with construction workers around underground facilities. They have to get down into the trench a lot of times, and there's trench collapses still. And we developed a process that allows the trench to be stabilized without any workers having to get into the trench. So I was very proud of that invention with my professor, and we went all over the country promoting it. We've got lots of projects that we've done in Tennessee where we've placed this material, and we just found out about a year ago that this process also works in stream restoration. So when you go in and build a new neighborhood, you're actually tearing up a little bit of the natural stream path for local lakes and rivers. And when you do that, you might alter where the water flow is, and you might change some of the ecosystems. So we discovered that when you go into a new construction project, if you go ahead and try to pump some of this material in your new construction project, the stream flows will stay in the pathway that they were intended for before you came in and tore the land up. So I'm much prouder to go in and be a construction person when I know I'm actually addressing the environment as well. So it's a good combination.
Very good. Jennifer, what would you like to invent?
Actually, I would just like to just work more with the electric vehicle, you know, a better electric vehicle. Right now, Nissan is the one automotive company that has a 100% electric vehicle, and you can get up to 100%, 100 miles charge, okay? And I just want to just increase that charge as much as I possibly could, because like I said, the green initiative is the way to go. Right now, we have to take care of our environment, and it's something that I just want to just get my hands dirty in and just help out, you know.
Wendy, you got an invention?
So right now we are adding enough to add 6 more production lines of yogurt in our Murfreesboro facility. So I would love to be a part of figuring out what it is that's actually going to go in there. You know, is it going to be a new product that we come up with, or is it something that our consumers have suggested? So, you know, reformulating a Greek yogurt or, you know, Go-Gurt coming in tubes, that's great, but what else can we put in a tube? Because Go-Gurt is huge right now. So just helping with that, not necessarily inventing, but figuring out how we can take those inventions and manufacture them.
Very good. Yes.
I had a question this is kind of like a question for all of you. Like, can you guys contribute to like more than one thing in your job? Like, for example, with Wendy's thing with the Go-Gurt crushing line, like, can you maybe go to the meetings and figure out new types of ways to do the lines, and also go out there and fix the line and all that stuff? Like, or do you guys are set on like one thing in your job?
That's the number one thing about my job that I love, is that I work with many departments, different departments, whether I'm working with design or current production. You know, I'm like a liaison between design and manufacturing. One day I can sit down at my desk and I can work on AutoCAD basically, or just, you know, the conceptual phase of a design, and I'm just looking at digital pictures and trying to figure out what's going on, looking at under the dimensional analysis and seeing what do we need to do, how do we need to change this, how do we need to fix this. The next day, I can be on the line and something can happen. We have to stop production because, you know, we have a part that's not fitting where it should fit, you know, because a car is basically a system and just different parts put together. And so I have to figure out right then and there, how can I fix that? You know, and I have to work with different departments to make sure that our quality that we're putting out is top, right? And everything is working. When you get into your car, you want to make sure that everything works, right? And so I have to work with different departments to ensure that.
And I'd say absolutely. The same thing for Yoplait. Actually, right now I'm doing a management role. So I'm managing the people that run the production lines. So I'm helping them try and troubleshoot anything that we can, but then I also pull in the resources that I need. So the system engineer for that line. And I talk with them, and we kind of work together and bounce ideas off of each other to figure out, you know, if something is happening, what we need to do to fix it. But then also, if it's just a fix for that day, we need to figure out how to fix it long term and what changes can we make to the machine so that doesn't happen again.
And I'd just like to say that question reminded me to mention that one of the things that I think women bring to the engineering field is adaptability. We are very good at talking to a lot of different types of people. I don't know if it's what it is in us that makes us be able to talk to a management team and then turn around and do design and then turn around and go tell the line workers how to do it, and it all come across very well and pretty well received. You may get questioned a little more because you are a female, so get used to that. I've been questioned for 15 years about why I'm doing what I'm doing, but in the end you have more confidence because you are able to talk to a lot of people and your knowledge is gained every day. So I think the adaptability part really speaks to what they said about being able to jump around a plant and do a lot of different things.
And I also do many different things, from concept development to building the prototypes myself and we see the product through till it gets delivered to the customer, and then even beyond that, we make sure the customer's satisfied with the product. So, no, we do everything.
Thank you.
So with that, one of the things that we find, and in doing a survey several years ago, what companies said that their engineers lacked was soft skills, being able to communicate and work as teams. And so we find that women do that better than men. And sometimes, the discouragement, you get a little, discouraged by guys saying, well, girls aren't supposed to work on engines and that kind of thing. But, you can say, well, we work on everything else. We can do that too. And one of the things is that multitasking that women seem to do better, which makes men better at some things because they can focus so closely on it. We tend not to be able to pinpoint. We tend to like to take care of everything as we're getting to that point. But those are the skills that women have for engineering that make us better engineers. So keep that in mind. One of the things that I find that is discouraging, several years ago, I had a student in my Intro to Engineering class. And when I was talking about my career, the reason I have an engineering degree is because I didn't quit. It wasn't easy. I didn't have the background I needed. I had to study really hard. There were some tough courses, but my dad kept saying, keep going. The gentleman that I worked for on the weekend, he said, if you change your major, I'm going to fire you. And so, I had a lot of encouragement, but I just kept going. And I was telling my class this, and I said, just don't quit. You'll end up with a degree if you just don't quit. And several years later, I got this note from this student who said, Dr. Mathis, I didn't quit. And she had a master's degree in engineering. So it's pretty, the tenacity that you need, and keeping up with, just keep going. It's not easy. Speaking of which was the hardest course that you had? What was the hardest thing that you took?
So I love this question. I went to a very, very small high school. I graduated with 50 people in my class, and that was a big class. Most class sizes were about 35. So very, very rural Northeast Iowa. So going to Iowa State, which is a huge university, was a big shock for me. And it took me a long time to develop my study skills and make sure that, I was getting what I needed out of the courses and was doing well. So physics, I took my second semester. I had about 500 people in my class, and that was just one of the physics classes. There were 3. And they all had 500 people in them. So that was definitely my hardest, and it pushed me the most because I had to reach out to the professor and reach out to the TAs so that I got the attention that I needed and was able to understand. I actually ended up getting a tutor for that class to make sure that I was understanding the concepts well. So I would say that was definitely the hardest course for me, but it also helped me learn myself and learn my study skills the most while I was in college.
I am the complete opposite. Physics was my favorite course in college. I love physics. I love physics 1, 2, and 3. And I love calculus as well. But as far as on the science aspect, I did not like biology at all. I mean, and I know a lot of people hate to hear me say that, but it's just, to me, it was just memorizing things, and I'm not such a memory person. I'm more of a hands-on, and how do I figure it out, like problem solving. That's just, my strengths, I believe, and I love physics, but like biology, oh my goodness, I was like, when is this course gonna be over with? I can't get all this in my mind right now. So that's probably the hardest thing for me.
So you like derivation? Yes. You can derive the formula given the background.
I love it. I mean, it started in high school, with just taking my math classes. I was just like, oh, okay, here's a word problem, and I'm gonna sit here until I figure it out, and I don't want any help at all. And so, and that's just how I am today. So.
One of the things that reinforced that I want to be a civil is I figured out that the type of math brain I have is not for calculus 2 and 3. It's more for linear matrices and trigonometry and differential equations, more on that end. But calculus 2 and 3 were just very abstract for me. I just couldn't put a real world problem to what I was learning, and I really enjoy word problems, so it was tough for me to relate the two, and I struggled in those two classes.
I think I probably struggled in college the most with dynamics. It was a course that had many different variables, and each problem was different, so it wasn't like you could establish a learning pattern. They were all so different. And I studied really hard in that class. And then my favorite class, I think, was thermodynamics, because I liked to study heat transfer, which is really came in handy for my profession now.
That's quite interesting, and it's very similar. Yeah, I'm with you, Heather. Give me the physics 1 and statics and calc 1, and I'm good. Yeah, yeah. You know, and I don't get the idea of the waves and electrical flow. You know, I can figure the forces on the bridge.
Right.
That's really good. So you can see that you have different mindsets and different skills, but they can all relate very well to what you want to do. Does anyone else out there have a question? Yes, in the back row.
Do these struggles ever like affect your lives and what you work in now? That you've talked about these struggles in classes?
I think it does. I mean, I think you still continue to learn. I've never stopped learning, and I find sometimes if I'm sitting in a high-level meeting and they're talking about something that I don't really know, I have to go back and still do some research and maybe look back at a book still. I mean, there's always a constant need to want to improve. So maybe my lack of ability in Calc 2 and 3 and having to revisit chemistry on occasion and look at balancing equations, it's something that I just try to keep improving. So I think